adventure, sports, outdoors. With host Harry Canterbury.
There I was, back in the wild again, and I felt right at home where I belong. I had that feeling coming over me again, just like it happened so many times before. Yeah.
Hi, Harry Canterbury with another edition of Adventure Sports Outdoors. Join us today as we go to Kelly Seed Company, downtown Peoria, and take a look at some of the bird feeders that are available for you folks out there. It doesn't cost a lot of money. You can get in the hobby of bird feeding for around $50. And there's all sorts of things that you can put out to attract all sorts of different birds. It's really good stuff. So stay tuned today for an interesting and a show that may lead you to a new hobby.
Adventure Sports Outdoors, brought to you in part by Corsaw Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield, Central Pool Supply, everything from pools to pool tables and much more in Peoria on West Pioneer Parkway. Mike O'Brien, Remax Commercial, Traders Unlimited Commercial. Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily. Christopher Coin Gun and Pawn LLC, 333 Derby Street in Pekin. And by Lewis and Clark Outpost, fishing equipment, antiques, collectibles, and much more. Now at their new location in Mackinac. Our thanks to all of these sponsors.
Hi, Harry Canterbury with another edition of Adventure Sports Outdoors. Hey, hunting season's over, fishing season's over except for ice fishing. But one of my hobbies and something I enjoy really immensely, and that is feeding birds and watching birds in my backyard. I've been doing it ever since I was a little kid. And I'm here today with Nick Vespa at Kelly Seed Company. He's going to show us some of the things that are available to you folks that you might like to use in your own backyard. And let's start out with you, Nick. Tell us about some of the bird feeders.
Well, I think the first thing to start with is why don't we start with the heated bird bath. A lot of people don't realize that water is actually one of the most important things for birds in the wintertime.
Even with the snow on the ground?
Even with the snow, because again, the creeks and all that get to be frozen up, and water is a valuable thing that they need and is not readily available. So heated bird baths are a great thing to use. You can see the little cord that's on there.
Yeah, let's see, it's just a plastic container with a heating element inside there.
Yep. And then they come different ways. This is happens to be one that actually mounts to a deck rail, but there actually is ones with little feet, and then even one that have like a longer rod for it with that goes into the ground as well.
Okay, so we'll set that one on there.
And you'd be surprised, you know, it can be below zero, and those things are working. You can see the steam coming off here. They really work really well. So
I'll be darned. That's pretty cool. We've got some other little feeders here. This is a squirrel feeder, isn't it?
It is a squirrel feeder. This is what they call a munch box, and it's, I guess, a nice way of making the squirrels sit here and feed and not just carry the feed off to somewhere else to eat. But they'll actually go over here, learn to lift the lid, take a peanut, birdseed, or shelled corn out of there, and actually eat it a little bit at a time.
Well, isn't it really important, because if you don't, squirrels are thieves. You know, they're little varmints, man. They'll get into your bird feeder and eat it all.
They will.
So if you take care of them and have a little area designated for the squirrels,
that's right.
It's a smart thing to do, and this is one of the options you got.
It's a really good option, yeah. It's one that, as people that have fed the birds for a long time always know, that squirrels can be a major problem. The problem is not that, you know, a lot of people don't want to see them get fed, but they'll get onto a feeder like this, and instead of just, you know, feeding for a little bit, they'll actually start eating the sides of your feeder.
And then
sometimes.
the feed will just go everywhere.
Feed will go everywhere, ruins your feeders, and it can be a real problem. And of course, they can eat a lot very quickly.
Now, do squirrels like whole corn or cracked corn?
They actually like whole corn and shelled corn the best, but I think that they'll probably eat some cracked corn as well. But ear corn is a great thing, where you can get a little feeder like this with a nail on there, where it just sticks down on there. And yeah, they'll sit there all day long and eat that ear corn.
That's right. Well, you know, a lot of people are worried that it's going to cost them a ton of money to get into feeding birds. Of course, if you want to do it economically, there's a way to do that. So you can buy a bird feeder and plenty of bird seed for $50. Will put you really in pretty good shape, won't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's one of those things where you got to remember you can spend as much or as little as you want to on bird feeding. You don't have to get the most extravagant feeders. I mean, we've got feeders here that start at around $6,
right,
and we have them all the way up to $150, depending on what you want to do. And certainly, when you remember too, if you buy in bigger sizes, that is where you get the best price per pound on your bird seed.
That's right. And a lot of people, especially older people, retired people, who like to sit and have a cup of coffee or have breakfast in the morning inside their house and look outside and watch birds. It's very soothing, it's relaxing,
sure,
and it's a lot of fun to sit and identify all the different species that will come to your feeder.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's literally probably 60 to 80 to 100 different kinds of birds that migrate through here, and a lot of them stay here during the winter.
Absolutely.
As long as they have something to eat.
Yeah, so the one that everyone is kind of familiar with is the goldfinch, which is absolutely spectacularly brilliant yellow in the summertime, but a lot of people don't realize they stay around for the winter, but what happens is they lose their gold color and turn kind of a drab brown color. So the only way to really, I guess, identify them is to look for that black and white little stripe on their wing.
That's right. Well, let's take a look at some of the other things that you have here.
Well, I tell you, since we were just talking about goldfinches, let's talk about the thistle feeder here for a second. This one here has quickly become one of our most popular sellers for a couple reasons. Number one is it holds a fair amount of birds. You can get 8 birds on there at a time. But the biggest thing about this is people that are used to feeding Niger or thistle seed realize that it can kind of go bad quickly. And it can get mildewed here at the bottom.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of times it'll get kind of caked in here with moisture gets in there and it gets like a mold in there.
Right. So look what this company has done. They have what they call a quick release here on the bottom where you hit these 2 buttons and that bottom comes right out. Cleans out real easily. It's got that heavy Lexan plastic, almost like a motorcycle windshield. Lifetime warranty on it, and these really have become great feeders.
And they'll last you years and years.
It's not uncommon for people to come in and tell us they've had it for 15 years, so it's a great feeder.
Yeah, eventually everything is going to wear out, but 15 years on a bird feeder is a long time.
That's a long time. You get your money out of it, that's for sure.
Can you show us what the different feeds, like the soot, the millet, and the oiled sunflower seeds, and give people an idea of what that stuff looks like?
Sure.
Alrighty?
Yeah.
I know if I was a bird, this looks pretty good. I mean, it's got a little bit of everything. I'm looking at what I can notice. What I notice is you've got the white millet, brown millet, you've got the sunflower seeds, cracked corn, and what else is in there?
Red Milo.
Red Milo.
Yep. That is our deluxe wild bird mix. It's a little different than other mixes in the fact that we do put 30% sunflower in there. We never change our mix. That's one of the things at Kelly's that we're real particular on.
This is Kelly's special mix.
This is Kelly's mix that we've been doing for a very long time. And, you know, a lot of times there are companies out there that will change their mixes as the grains become cheaper to cheapen up their product. We never do that. We always stay consistent.
It's the same one you had 50 years ago.
50 years ago, yeah. It's got the white Milo, the red Milo, a little bit of millet, cracked corn, and sunflower. Good. Yeah, it's a good, rich mix. It's one, if you're trying to kind of draw as much as you can,
a little bit of everything.
That's what that's going to do.
Nick, quite a variety, and I know that my cardinals love to eat those sunflowers, and that's just not your standard sunflower. What kind of sunflower is that?
It's actually black oil sunflower. There's 2 types of sunflower. There's the black oil and the striped. The black oil is by far the biggest seller, and it's also the one that has that high oil content in there.
And that's what the bird's looking for.
They're looking for that. It actually helps them survive the winter. It keeps them warmer during the winter. More energy from their food in that black oil sunflower.
And here we have a container just full of that. Now some people can just feed that, right?
Yeah, so this is also a mixture that we make up. This is more of a premium mix. We call it our songbird mix.
Now you've got some actual it doesn't have a hull on it. It's dehulled, isn't
right.
it?
So I've got the black oil sunflower, I've got the bigger striped sunflower, I've got safflower, and I've got the sunflower hearts. That's without the shell, and just a little bit of millet.
Now this is a premium mix.
It is a premium mix. It's for the people that want to try to hone it down a little bit and maybe get rid of some of the sparrows, some of the blackbirds during the summer. They want to try to get a little bit more of a better songbird variety, and that's what this mix does. Yeah. Very, very nice.
So this is your premium mix right here with the safflower and the different types of sunflowers. And like you said, you've got some, they go crazy over that stuff. The single thing in there that they love is a dehulled sunflower, and there's what it looks like. They just really love that stuff. And then we've got, what else have we got here?
Well, we've got one more mix we can talk about here
Yeah.
too that's really kind of popular. This is one here that we call our fruit and nut mix, where again, it's very similar to that songbird mix. It's got the sunflower, both types. It's got the safflower, it's got the sunflower hearts, but then we add peanuts to it and we add raisins to it. So it really starts to bring in a lot of your nuthatches and your woodpeckers.
Now the
gives you a little bit-
woodpeckers, they like the peanuts, don't they?
They love the peanuts,
They're
and it's
crazy about 'em.
amazing if you just add a little bit of peanuts to there, the variety of woodpeckers you get. And if you're lucky enough to be in a wooded area, you might get that very elusive pileated woodpecker, which
Yes,
is
which I've seen many times,
yeah.
which is a beautiful bird.
It's huge
You
and
know,
beautiful, yes.
A lot of folks don't know it, but there was one woodpecker bigger than that. It was the ivory bill that has been extinct for like 85 or 90 years. They say they have seen it down in Arkansas,
Really?
but they haven't been able to get a real good picture of it yet, so
Okay.
I don't know if it still exists or not. This almost looks like a trail mix.
It really does. It's a wonderful mix. It's really caught on. As a matter of fact, I will say that, you know, we even sell the peanuts out of the shell. That has become one of the biggest selling type of bird feeds in the last 10 years. Just because, again, the variety of birds that you get, the high oil content in there really keeps the birds warm. So it's a very fun way of getting a lot of really neat birds.
And what do we got here?
So this is Niger thistle seed, and I guess let's start off by saying there's one misconception. A lot of people will hear the word thistle and they automatically think it's that thistle that's
weed,
going to grow that
yeah.
noxious weed in
Right.
your yard and in the farm fields.
Right.
It is not. It is not at all related to that. Thistle is actually just the generic term for
Is
Niger
this imported
seed.
or is this an...
This is imported. They grow it in Ethiopia, Myanmar, India, so it definitely comes in from across seas.
So I would say that cost-wise, you're going to pay for something imported. It's going to be more expensive than buying a
is.
mix like this here.
It is. It's, you know, I guess the other name for it is called black gold because, yes, it is a little bit more expensive. However, it's one that you typically buy in smaller amounts because you always want to keep it fresh. Here's another thing a lot of people don't realize is they actually shell this seed. They eat the inner part of that.
So they crack it,
They crack it and
pop it out, eat the inside, and
correct.
discard the rest.
The most important thing to remember on this is to make sure where you're buying from is fresh. I always hear from a lot of people that they bought it somewhere just because they were out and had to get it. But the problem is if it's dried out to begin with, they will not touch it. So you've got a thistle feeder where the birds won't touch it because the inside is already dried out. You want it to be nice and oily and fresh on the inside.
So you don't want to really keep this year to year.
No, as a matter of fact, we really recommend keeping it no longer than about 3 months. Hence the reason the 5 and 10 pounder is the biggest seller for this size.
Okay. Now we've got another feeder here that's quite interesting, and I've got in that is the suet, and this here is this is $3.99, and this one over here is probably a little bit more.
That's a $6.99
yeah,
little
this
feeder.
is an expensive feeder here, but nice. And but these here, this slips into here, and they're really easy to maintain. And you hang it out just wherever you want your birds to go.
Yeah, I mean, you can hang it near the bird feeder. You can hang it on a shepherd's hook on a tree. You know, the big thing about suet is it has that rendered fat in there, so that really is, again, a very good food source and energy source for the birds over the winter to keep them warm. Helps them survive. So a real nice way of doing that, and again, the variety of birds that you get on a little suet feeder is really quite nice. You'll get a lot of the woodpeckers, the nuthatches, the cardinals, a lot of your better songbirds.
So in order to get variety of birds, you need to not just have one feed, you need to have a variety of feeds in order to get as many different types that you want.
You should try to, yeah. I mean, obviously when you're talking about mixes, you're overlapping there as far as the birds that'll come to it. But yes, if you're trying to get a good variety of birds, having a different types of seed out there will certainly help you.
Okay. Now, one of the most popular feeders that you have, of course, is right here. And I've seen these, and I actually own one of those. Tell us about that feeder.
So this one here has probably been the biggest selling bird feeder we've had for about the last 3 or 4 years going. And, you know, of course, again, we talked about how the squirrels can be such a problem. This is what we kind of consider a mid-price feeder. This one runs $49.95. But the nice thing about this feeder is it has a cage around it that is very tough. You can't even squeeze it to crush it.
No, you can't. It's real tough.
But what happens is the birds can get on these perches and feed, but when the squirrel gets on there, his weight will pull that feeder down, shutting off the ports. Therefore, he can't feed.
So if you got that hanging from your Jacob's hook or whatever, and a squirrel jumps up there, scares the birds away, he's done.
Right, and if you notice too, it's got a cable. We're not talking about a rope that can be eaten through.
He can't chew through that.
So it's actually a very good feeder, has a locking cap on there. You know, so they've really thought of everything for this feeder. It's been a really good one.
Squirrels have got a, you know, pretty voracious appetite. They eat all the time, and they eat the same things we do. And it's, of course, hunting season's over, but that's why squirrels are so good to eat, because they eat all this good stuff.
Yes, they do.
They taste great. But you know, come springtime, you like to put out birdhouses. So can you show us a couple of those?
Well, I tell you, one that's been a pretty big seller for Christmas is this one here. This is one that it looks like an old man's face, but if you look at it, he's got a hole there in the nose where the birds actually enter in through the nose. And of course, that really is something that's a kind of a conversational piece that people really seem to like.
Flies right up in there. It's real smooth, and they get inside there.
Yeah. So it's been a fun one, and it just adds a little bit of, I guess, uniqueness to the yard. So.
Yeah. You know, years ago, I used to know a guy, and I think you did too. He used to make birdhouses. Can't remember his name, but
Earl Doring.
Earl Doring. I still have one of his birdhouses.
Yeah, we do too.
Do you? You have a few of them, and he made them for years because he just loved to do it.
He did. Yeah,
and,
he was quite a remarkable man, and even into his 90s, he was going and getting spare wood and making these neat little feeders. And
made thousands of them.
Made thousands of them, and it's one of those things where, you know, even the commercial type birdhouses, it always seemed like they always, especially the wrens, went to Earl Doring's houses, even over the commercial ones.
Well, it's the love that he put in it.
I think you're right. I think you're right. He was quite a remarkable man.
Yeah, and he was great with children too.
Yes, he was.
Every Christmas he would gather gifts for kids that don't have much, and he was quite a remarkable person.
Yes, he was.
I really liked him a lot.
We miss him.
Yeah, well, I do too.
Hi, I'm Dave Barth with your Sportsman's Tip of the Week. We've talked about concealed carry in the past. It's as popular now as it ever has been. Here's some new examples of some concealed carry handguns. Here's a few examples of some new semi-automatics. If you're going to practice a little bit, a semi-automatic would be a good choice. They require a little more effort than a revolver. The first one here is a Ruger LC9S. It's a small, compact 9mm, made in the USA. The next one is a Sig Sauer. It's a P938 9mm. They also make them in a 380. They're expensive, but they're quality pistols. Right next to that, we have a pistol from Springfield Armory in Geneseo, Illinois. This is an XDS 9mm. They come with a hard case and 2 magazines. They also make them in a 40 caliber. Nice, compact, yet a lot of firepower. The one on the right here is a Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. It's a 380. It comes with a built-in laser, and again, made in USA. A couple of nice revolvers are Smith & Wessons. This is a titanium cylinder 337, real lightweight. And right next to it, at a more economical price, is a Smith & Wesson Model 637 with an alloy frame. Excellent choices, good, reliable handguns. We also have holsters that are somewhat new on the market. And the first one here is, they call it a sticky holster. It's an inside the pant holster. And they call it a sticky holster because it's sticky. You know, it grips a gun, grips your pants and your shirt. If you'd like a belt holster, this is a Bulldog belt holster. It holds the pistol and an extra magazine. Next to that, we have a Bianchi pancake holster, which kind of breaks up the outline of the pistol, mounts on the outside of the belt. And then we have shoulder holsters and ankle holsters. And here to tell us a little more about the training involved with concealed carry is Chuck Barth with the Lost Creek Training Company.
Thanks for the introduction, Dave. There's a lot more involved in carrying concealed in the state of Illinois and other states than just picking the type of gun and understanding how the gun functions and operates. And that's why I think it's really important, you know, that you choose the right instructor. Along with the right equipment, you want a good quality set of instruction. Lost Creek Training, what I've focused on the last 20 years plus in law enforcement and over 25 years in special operations military, is to develop the correct mindset. Along with that is the right tactics. And we also get real in-depth into gun handling skills and a little bit of marksmanship with the time allotted. We do a 16-hour class for newcomers. Prior military does an 8-hour class, and anybody with prior law enforcement will also get a 8-hour dismissal. Choosing the right instructor and choosing the right company is paramount, along with, you know, making sure you have the right equipment. And the stuff you've got out here today is fantastic, good decisions, and that's what we want to stress upon and build upon is the good decision-making process.
I'm Dave Barth. That's been your Sportsman's Tip of the Week.
Hey, that bird feeding is a lot of fun. And for $50, you can get a nice bird feeder, plenty of seed, and feed birds all winter long. And put that bird feeder right outside your kitchen window, so while you're eating breakfast, you can watch the birds. But hey, you know, it's been really slow duck hunting and pheasant hunting this year, which duck hunting is a big passion of mine. And I killed one duck this year, a wood duck, went 6 times, and it wasn't very good. So we're going to show you a little video about how duck hunting used to be and how I'd like to see it again.
Adventure Sports Outdoors, brought to you in part by Corsaw Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield. Central Pool Supply, everything from pools to pool tables and much more in Peoria on West Pioneer Parkway.
Mike O'Brien, Remax Commercial, Traders Unlimited Commercial.
Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily.
Christopher Coin Gun and Pawn LLC, 333 Derby Street in Pekin. And by Lewis and Clark Outpost, fishing equipment, antiques, collectibles, and much more. Now at their new location in Mackinac. Our thanks to all of these sponsors.
Teddy and I'd like to wish you a very happy New Year. I hope you had a great Christmas. I know the Canterburys had a fine one. And we got to go do a little duck hunting this year. I killed one duck, and Teddy got to bring it back. But his big thing is riding in front of the boat. He just loves to ride in the boat, and we're going to ride in the boat until he can't do it anymore. And I sure hope I have a lot more years with my dog, because I sure do love my Labrador. And hey, you guys be safe out there. Have a very happy New Year.